Dear students, moving further to the damage caused by pests, today I would be discussing in continuation to the previous lecture the damage caused by pest as part 2. In the previous discussion, we talked about the damage caused by insects as stem borers or shoot borers, the leaf miners, the leaf defoliators, so on and so forth. And in continuation, today we start with the other categories which comprise of the gall makers. Now, larvae feeding inside the stem, the tiller, leaf, flower bud stimulates excessive growth of cells at the affected portion and distorts normal growth. It results in malformation of plant parts exhibiting gall formation and gives shelter for the pest. For example, sun hemp stem borer, tobacco stem borer, cotton stem weevil, amaranthus stem weevil, so on and so forth. So they all form galls. You must have seen sometimes on the trees, on the plants, some rounded structures, odd shaped structures as outgrowths which are affected portions, where there's not normal growth but there is some structure outside the plant which is formed. This is actually something like a cancerous growth, but this it is not a cancerous growth, but this is a malformation. The the pod or the capsule borers or the bollworms. During the reproductive stage of the crop, larvae enter into the pods, capsules and feed on the seeds or lint, exhibiting symptoms like webbed condition of pods, bolls or few pods or capsules with fuzz and excreta or holes of different sizes and shapes, and damage the tissues like the chili, the lint on cotton. Now, actually, these are the worms or these are the borers. We have talked about the stem borers earlier, the shoot borers earlier, but these are the capsule borers. The capsule is the fruit of a plant, or pod is a fruit of a plant. If you have studied the different kinds of in botany and the different kinds of fruits which are produced by a plant, the pod and the capsule, or the cotton bolls. The cotton fiber is again a fruit form which comprises of seeds inside. Now, if the worms, the borers or the insects, they enter inside and damage the pod or the capsule. Say, for example, the uh, cotton boll. Then again, it is a tremendous economic loss because the consumable part or the crop which the produce which we get from the crop is of significance, is of importance to the mankind. So for example, the pod of a pea or the boll of a cotton. From the cotton plant, what we want the cotton. From the pea plant, what do we want the pea. So the produce which we actually want from the plant, if that is damaged by the insect, then definitely it is going to cause an economic loss, and it is a harmful insect and would be called or terminated will be termed as a pest. Fruit borers. Larvae enter into the tender fruits and feed on fresh matter or pulp and plug the larval burrow with excreta. For example, the fruit borer of brinjal, bhindi, tomato, mango, stone weevil, cashew apple and nut borer. So all these are the fruits. Brinjal is actually the fruit, the lady's finger is the fruit, the tomato is the fruit, and of course mango, cashew apple, these are all the fruits. So if the larvae enter the fruits and feed on the fresh matter, the pulpy part of the fruit, definitely the fruit is damaged and fruit has got no value. It will not fetch any value in the market. I think when you all go shopping, buying fruits, you always check whether it is damaged by insect or not, and if it is damaged, you don't go and buy that kind of a fruit. So it is an economic loss. Bark borers. Larvae remain in a small tunnel at the axils of branches under the bark, constructing galleries of frassy web on the stem and near bark or angles of branches, and move about, conceal inside the silken gallery and feed on the bark by scraping. So there are certain insects which because the bark is the outermost layer of the tree trunk. So if the tree is quite big plant, and if the bark is damaged of a, generally of course we would consider the fruit trees, then of course they are harmful for the, like for example, the bark eating caterpillars of citrus, mango, guava, casuarina, jackfruit, etc. The tree borers. So the earlier ones were only the bark borers that were damaging the outermost layer. Now the tree borers are those which bore deep into the tree trunk. They make the tunnels in zigzag manner and feed on the inner tissues, arresting translocation of sap to top portions of tree. Thereby, the tree exhibits symptoms like yellowing, withering of leaves, drying of twigs, or complete drying of the tree. Sometimes gummy material oozes out from the affected portion of the tree trunk. For example, the tree borers of mango, cashew, coconut, red palm weevil, so on and so forth. The root feeders. So these were the upper portions which were visible, like the leaf or the tree trunk or the stem. But then there are insects which damage the underground parts of the plant, which basically is like the root. And the root feeders, larvae feed on roots or the root nodules, resulting in stunted growth, poor tillering, drying of plants in isolated patches. For example, the rice root weevil, the white grubs, the banana rhizome weevil, and termites, of course. So they all feed on the roots, they damage the roots, and the roots are the basic plant part which are meant for translocating so many things, of course, mainly the water to the plant and keeping the plant deep strongly attached to the soil. And if the root is damaged, the whole plant is going to die off and result in a tremendous loss. The seed feeders or the stored grain pests. The grubs, the larvae and adult feed on stored seeds either internally or externally by webbing the food particles. The rice weevil, the red flower beetle, the rice moth, etc. These are all the seed feeders. You must have seen them in your houses damaging the grains or the seeds. The symptoms of damage caused by biting and chewing insects are defoliation, skeletonization, scraping of leaves. Now, the early larval instars of large number of lepidopteran pests with gregarious behavior feed on leaves by scraping the chlorophyll content and gives papery or scorched appearance, leaving membranous cuticular layer and stout veins. Such feeding leads to skeletonization, like the tobacco caterpillar, the Bihar hairy caterpillar, the red hairy caterpillar, which of course in our area is known as the katra. Uneven cuts on leaf margins, like the grasshoppers on various crops, larvae of mustard sawfly on cruciferous crops. The leaf margins are damaged. The uneven scraping of leaf surface, the grubs and adults of Henoceplicana on cucurbits, solanaceous and leguminous crops, or the small white streaks parallel to midrib on rice leaves, like the damage caused by adults on rhizospa. The tubular cases attached to leaf floating in water in rice fields, for example, the damage caused by larvae of caseworm. The short holes on leaves, for example, larvae of sorghum and sugarcane stem borers, adults of flea beetle in black gram or the green gram, Phylotria species on crucifers, larvae of Anomus sabulifera on jute. These all cause holes on the leaves. Scraping and gnawing of base of stem, like the Plutella xylotella on mustard and rape, Spodoptera litura on potato. They scrap the base of the stem and damage the plant. Thank you. So these are the loss damage caused by insects to plants, and this was my second lecture on the topic of damage caused